one place, yeah. In one body he could see.
And
Everything, yeah.
Mataji, the universal form displayed the cosmic creation of the material world.
What is that? Come again, Prabhuji?
The
No, no, no.
universal form displayed the cosmic creation of the material world.
The universal
नहीं
form is nothing but the
नहीं
material
नहीं
world,
नहीं
Prabhuji.
को-
It
नहीं
is
नहीं
nothing but
मटेरियल वर्ल्ड का उसमें कुछ नहीं था.
it is the universe. I mean, the universal form is nothing but everything that we see, Prabhuji. It is like the mountains. It is the universe. Whatever you see in the Prakriti, that is nothing but the universal form. The planets, the mountains, the living entities, everybody, everything, Prabhuji, that we see, all in one place, he is able to see. Okay, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, can somebody tell if the YouTube recording is going on live?
I got an intimation, Mataji, but after that, I don't know. Okay, I did.
Yes, Mataji, the live button was messaged on my screen also.
Okay, fine. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. So before we start the class, please let us take the blessings of the beautiful deities of ISKCON Mangaluru, Sri Sri Radha Govindji. Sri Sri Radha Govindji ki jai.
जय.
So we are supposed to start from 32 shloka. We were talking about time, I think, yeah. So here in the one second. Okay, so in yesterday's class, we saw Arjuna in great fear. He asked two questions like, who are you and what is your mission? And why Arjuna asked these two questions? Arjuna knew Krishna as his friend and supreme personality of Godhead, but he was puzzled by various forms exhibited by Krishna, because when he saw the universal form, he was very puzzled and very surprised, astonished. He was bewildered. So he was confused seeing that form. Like earlier, he thought Krishna was his friend and cousin, like that he was thinking. And suddenly, when Krishna exhibited his universal form, Arjuna all of a sudden, seeing that universal form, he was puzzled. That's why at that time he was confused and bewildered, and he asked, "Who are you? And what is your mission? Why? I mean, like, what is the? I mean, like, seeing that abnormal form, all in one place, he's asking. He got puzzled. Who are you?" In that confusion, he forgot that Krishna is the universal form. He asked, "Who are you and what is your mission?" Okay, so now let's see today from 32. So now Krishna, he says in Shloka 32, the Blessed Lord said, "Time I am, destroyer of the worlds, and I have come to engage all people, with the exception of the Pandavas, with the exception of you, the Pandavas, all the soldiers here from both sides will be slain." See here in 32, what is Krishna is saying? Who are you means what
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
You're not sharing the screen?
Oh, didn't I share the screen?
No, Mataji.
I'm so
Couldn't
sorry.
see.
No, Mataji, we were thinking that you were explaining. That's why we were quiet. But the screen is not shared.
I'm so sorry, Mataji. I thought I shared it. Now is everybody able to see, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji can see.
Yeah. Sorry, Mataji, I forgot. So sorry. Okay, so Krishna, he answers in Shloka 32, that time I am. Okay, Kala Rupa. See, the time factor is there only in the material world. In the spiritual world, you don't have the concept of time over there. Okay, time is eternal. It is eternal. I mean, time concept is not there over there. So time is here only in the material world. So Krishna is saying, time I am, Kala Rupa. And what is my mission? Time means what? With the passage of time, everything changes. In this material world, there is nothing constant. So it changes from time to time. So what is my mission, Krishna? That Krishna is saying in the form of time, to destroy everything. So everything in this material world has a start and an end point. It has an what do you call expiry date, a start and end date. So Krishna is saying, my mission as time is to destroy everything. So all the people except the Pandavas. Now, so Krishna is saying to Arjuna, see now everybody will be destroyed in this war except you, the Pandavas. Krishna is telling. Okay, so what does this indicate? Even if Arjuna did not want to fight, they will die anyway. So, see, now Krishna is saying, because they all are my relatives, I don't want to kill. So, what is he thinking? If I don't kill, they will be saved, right? They won't be killed. But what is Krishna saying? See, if you don't fight, don't think they will not die. They will die anyway, because it is my plan that I've already killed them. It is decided that they will die. If not you, somebody else will kill them, Arjuna. Krishna is telling. Okay, so it's better you be an instrument and fight. That's what Krishna is trying to tell here. Okay, so he indicates even if Arjuna did not want to fight, they will die anyway. Okay, so here reference Katha Upanishad, all Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and everyone else are devoured like a meal by the Supreme as the all-devouring giant. So we saw, right, through that blazing mouth, all of them are entering with full speed into the mouth of the universal form, the blazing mouth of the universal form. So Krishna is saying, everybody will go into my mouth, everybody will die except the Pandavas. Okay, so you better be an instrument. I mean, like, it'll be great if you could be an instrument. If not you, they will die in somebody else's hand. Okay, so if you want to be an instrument, you can be an instrument. But they're dying for, they will die for certain at that particular time. If not you, by somebody else, they will surely die. Okay, so that's what Krishna is telling. He's telling that I'm time. So now let's see 33. Tasmat tvam uttishta yasho bhasva jitva shatrun bhungshva rajyam samidham mayaivate nihataha purvam eva nimittamatram bhava savyasachin. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Therefore, get up and prepare to fight. After conquering your enemies, you will enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement. And you, O Savyasachin, can be but an instrument in the fight. Okay, so Krishna is saying, what is Krishna saying? I've already destroyed all your enemies. So now Krishna, through the universal form, he showed Arjuna that everybody, the Kauravas have died, the Dronacharya, Bhishma, Karna, everybody have died. He has killed them. He showed the future. Okay, so he's saying, I've destroyed all your enemies. Now you just become an instrument. You act as if you're fighting and killing them. And you win the glory. You get the appreciation, Krishna is telling. See, actually in our daily life as devotees also, if we get some praise, we think we have done it. See, earlier when I was doing book distribution, in my ignorance as a neophyte, some years back, I used to think that, oh, I'm so clever. By my talking, I was able to convince them to take books, I thought. But later, now I realize, see, when I just said, please take the Krishna book, please take the Bhagavad Gita book. There were times when I didn't even open my mouth so much, and they used to take both the Bhagavad Gita and the Krishna book. But there were times when after trying to convince them for such a long time also, they didn't take one book also. Okay, so it's all Krishna, he does everything. but he gives the credit to us. Okay, so there are many such instances where we think that I have done, it is because of my intelligence that I was able to do something, we think. But it is nothing. It is Krishna who does everything, but he just gives the credit to us. Okay, so that is that realization we get later. But at that point, because we are also in ignorance, and Krishna also, he tries to encourage us. He does not, deflate our ego at that time. He knows our mentality, but still he helps us. So at that time, Krishna helps us. We get the credit of distributing the books. So whatever seva that we are doing, whatever name we get, it is Krishna does everything, and he gives the name to us. The same way now Krishna is telling Arjuna, see, I have done everything. I have killed all your enemies. See, I'm showing you the future. You just act as if you are just fighting in that instrument, act as an instrument, act as if you are fighting and you're killing them. Yesterday I forgot to say, Krishna Kapoor Prabhu asked that Barbarika, did he see the universal form, right? He didn't see the universal form, Prabhuji. Okay, he didn't get a chance. He only, that's what when I remembered this form, because Barbarika, he could just see from the top of the mountain when the whole Kurukshetra war was going on. There was only one person who was fighting the entire war, and Barbarik says that is Krishna. So it is like Krishna who is fighting the entire Kurukshetra war, actually. Okay, everybody is just like an instrument, that's all. So that's what Barbarik was saying. I could see only one person fighting the entire Kurukshetra. Okay, so Krishna is the person who does everything, but he gives the credit to his devotees. Okay, so here we see Krishna is saying, I've already destroyed all your enemies, become my instrument and fight, and you just take the credit. So here Arjuna's motivation is fulfills Lord's desire. So Lord's plan is very specific in the material world. And what is Krishna telling Arjuna? You just become an instrument. And Sabyasachi means what? He's an expert. He can fight with both hands. Right? With the left or the right hand, he can fight very fast. And what is the sign of intelligence? To recognize that the whole world is moving under the direction of Krishna, under the plan of Krishna. Okay, so we have to understand that we are, in fact, to be frank, we are all puppets in the hand of Krishna, right? So that's what is the sign of intelligence? To recognize that the whole world is moving under the plan of the Lord. What is the fool's mentality? No plan behind the creation. What do the fools think? There is no plan behind the creation. All are accidental formations. See, what do the scientists think? How did this Prakriti come? Means they will say one explosion happened and everything came out accidentally. But how did that thing happen accidentally also? How did that, they say that, how did that happen? For that to happen also, there should be some reason, right? So but they can't explain that. They say it accidentally just happened like that. And then it exploded and then the whole Prakriti came, it seems. That's what the scientists say. And you say the scientists, they never say something very surely. Yes, this is it. You see, scientists, they say perhaps or maybe, it could be like this, it could be like that. So it's like all their ideas are very vague. There's nothing true in their whatever they speak. Maybe in the future we'll do it like this, maybe like that. So everything will be like it's like a post-dated check, right? Like that. So they're not sure like what they're saying or what will happen in the future. Okay. Okay, so this is 33, 34. Okay. Dronam cha Bhishmam cha Jayadratam cha Karnam tathanyan api yodha viran maya hatam stvam jahi ma vyatishtham yudhyasva jetasi rane sapatnan. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna and other great warriors have already been destroyed by me. Therefore, kill them and do not be disturbed. Simply fight and you will vanquish your enemies in the battle. So Krishna is further saying that Drona, I've killed. See, he shows in the universal form that in the future, he shows that Drona, Bhishma, everybody, Jayadratha, Karna are all entering into the blazing mouth of Krishna, that universal form. So he is saying that I've killed all your enemies already. Okay, so you don't have to worry. You simply fight, right? Just fight. You pretend to be fighting in the battle, and everything will be taken care of by me. Okay, you just fight. Krishna is telling. Okay, you just be an instrument.
Mataji,
Yes, Prabhuji?
Mataji, so the universal form of Lord Krishna displayed the future events of the battle to Arjun.
Yeah, he could see everything, not the battle, but specifically they're telling about the battle because Krishna wanted to show that all the Pandavas are killed, saying that Krishna is showing the future. So he could see everything, whatever will happen in the future, but specifically they are mentioning about the battlefield because we get to know that Arjuna is seeing the future also in the universal form. By when Krishna says that he's killing the Pandavas, Dronacharya, Bhishma, means actually on the battlefield all are still alive. But when Arjuna is seeing through the universal form all are being killed, it means that it's in the future, right? Just to show us that in the universal form future is also being shown. Krishna is giving that particular example. Okay, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Mataji.
Yeah. So 35. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, O king, after hearing these words from the Supreme Personality of God. See, actually, Prabhuji, we can't see all these separate. I mean, actually, past is separate, present is separate, future is separate, and you can't see the heavenly planets and hellish planets all at one time. Practically, it is not possible. But Krishna, because through his inconceivable energy, like just because for Krishna anything is possible, right? He can show anything. So he wanted, just because Arjuna asked him to show everything of the material world, so Krishna is showing everything through the universal form, everything combined, past, present, future, the planets, heavenly planets, all in one place. But otherwise, normally it is not possible to see everything at one go. Okay, but since Arjuna wanted to see, he combined everything in the universal body so that he could see everything in one shot. Okay, Prabhuji, is it clear now? Huh? Prabhuji, is it clear?
Yes, yes, Mataji.
Yeah. So please don't get confused that whether he is able to see a future. But generally, normal people like us, we cannot see. But since Krishna gave him that divine vision, he could see through the universal form of that body. He could see everything, past, present, future, the heavenly planets, the hellish planets, the galaxies, demigods, Brahma, Shiva, everybody he could see. Okay, that is the thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So 11.35, Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, O king, after hearing these words from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna trembled, fearfully offered obeisances with folded hands, and began falteringly to speak as follows. See, now in this verse, Sanjaya is speaking to King Dhritarashtra. So he is describing what is happening to Arjuna after he saw the universal form. Okay, so after hearing the Lord's powerful words and seeing the universal form, Arjuna, he began to tremble. Okay, he folded his hands, he bowed down again and again. His voice was shaking when he spoke, and he was no longer speaking casually like a friend after seeing the universal form. Okay, now he's speaking to Krishna in the universal form with deep respect and awe and reverence. Okay, so why was Arjuna shaking? See, it's imagine how to say. See, earlier, Arjuna had known Krishna as his friend. So they used to joke together, they spoke freely. But now, after seeing the universal form, he understood that Krishna is not just my friend or cousin, right, or my charioteer. He is the Supreme Lord. Okay, so that realization made him filled with wonder, fear, respect, and devotion. Okay, so earlier he was thinking he's a friend, my cousin. That time he was casual, but after seeing the universal form, the huge, you can't even measure, the limitless universal form, he realized that this is just not my friend. He's like something great. He's the Supreme Lord. He's the cause of all causes. So that realization made him change his mind. Okay, so now that's why he was like he was in wonder, he was fearful after seeing that, and then out of respect, he bowed down again and again with devotion. Okay, so what do we understand actually? What is the lesson we understand is, see, when we truly understand someone's greatness, our attitude changes, right? Arjuna's friendship turned into deep respect. So he did not stop loving Krishna, but now his love changed to from friendship to awe and respect out of humility. See, it is like how I'll tell you, give you an example. See, it is like discovering that your close friend has passed IAS. He's still your friend, but now you become more respectful because of his position. See, earlier your friend was close, you used to joke with him, eat with him, play pranks, jokes, everything. But now you realize that you come to know that the same person who was a close friend, he has become an IAS officer. So now you don't do the same joking as earlier, right? You give more respect to him, even though he's your close friend, right? So in the same way, Arjuna now he's giving more. I mean, it's changed from friendship to respect for Krishna. Okay, so seeing the universal form changed Arjuna. So he moved from casual friendship to deep devotion out of respect. So that is why he folded hands and like he's folding his hands and in a trembling voice, he's trying to pray to Krishna. Okay, so let's see what he prays. O Rishikesha, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name, and thus everyone becomes attached to you. Although the perfected beings offer you their respectful homage, the demons are afraid and they flee here and there. All this is rightly done. Okay, so now Arjuna speaks with understanding and respect for Krishna, seeing the universal form. So he's saying what? So, O master of the senses, it is right that the whole world becomes happy when they hear your glories. So the good and perfected beings, they bow down to you. Obviously, the devotees and the pious souls, they bow down to you. But the demons become afraid and run away. Okay, so Arjuna, he understands that different people react differently to the same Supreme Lord. Okay, so what are they? Devotees, they feel great joy when they see the Lord. The wise beings, they offer their respect, like the pious people who right, they offer respect. But the demons or those who are against goodness, they feel fear. Okay, so why do the devotees feel happy? Okay, when the devotees, when they hear about God's kindness, power, and protection, their hearts feel peaceful. It's like they feel protected. See, when a child is with the mother, he feels protected, right? If he's alone on the street and the dog barks at him, he gets scared. But the same dog, if he's catching the mother's hand, he takes a stone and throws it at the dog. See, it is because because mother is there, he has that confidence that mother will protect me from the dog. So similarly, why do devotees feel happy? Because they get that they get that protection from the Lord, that and they feel a peace. They feel peaceful because of that. Okay, they know God is powerful and He can protect us. With that confidence, they feel peaceful. So that's why devotees feel happy when they hear about the glories of the Lord. And why are some people afraid? Obviously, see, those who do wrong and they live out of selfishness, they feel uncomfortable when they hear about the Lord. See, it's like this. Why? See, example, I'll give you a small example which will connect you. I mean, you will be able to understand why some people are afraid. See, imagine there is a child who broke a flower vase. Okay, when the parent walks into the room, the child feels nervous. Why? Just seeing the parent itself. See, the parent didn't even scold him. Okay, just seeing the parent itself, he gets scared, right? He gets uncomfortable. Why? Because he made a mistake, right? See, the parent didn't even scold him, didn't say anything. He didn't even punish. But still, the child, seeing the parent, he gets uncomfortable because inside he knows he's made a mistake. Right? So like that, the demons also, just because of when they hear the glories of the Lord, see, these people, they make mistakes, right? So that's why they flee away. I mean, like, because they see Krishna, they get scared because their mistakes may come into, I mean, they may get caught. So that's why they flee away in danger. Okay, like a child, even though Krishna may not punish the demons, but the demons get scared just by the entrance, like how when parent enters, the child gets uncomfortable. The same way, when Krishna enters, the demons, they flee away. Okay, because they feel uncomfortable that way. Okay, so let's go to 37. O great one, who stands above even Brahma, you are the original master. Why should they not offer their homage unto you, O limitless one, O refuge of the universe? You are the invincible source, the cause of all causes, transcendental to this material manifestation. So now you can see in the sloka from 36 onwards, seeing that universal form of Krishna, now he becomes so respectful. He changes from friendship to respect, and he's praising Krishna. Okay, some 36, 37 and 38 onwards, we'll see Arjuna is praising Krishna. Okay, so let's see what he's saying in 37. So Arjuna says, "O great one, you're greater even than Brahma. So you are the original creator. Obviously, why would anyone not bow down to you? See, if all are bowing down to Brahma, you are the creator of Brahma, right? So why would anyone not bow down to you? You are the unlimited, the Lord of all gods." Means that he's the Lord of all the demigods. You are the shelter of the whole universe. You are beyond everything. Okay, so what is Arjuna saying? Like now Arjuna, he understood even powerful beings like Brahma come from the Supreme Lord. Right? So if Brahma is respected, then the one who created Brahma must be even greater. So he's the source of everything. Okay, so now Arjuna uses big words like in describing Krishna, like he says, "You're unlimited," means there is no end to him. And he says Krishna is the refuge of the universe, means everything rests in him. Okay, he's a refuge, means everything rests in him. See, after annihilation, everything comes back into him. It becomes unmanifest, right? So imperishable means what? He never gets destroyed, right? He's Satchidananda, and he's the cause of all causes, means everything begins from him. See, right from the creation takes place because of Krishna, right? So the material, the cause of the material, the Mahat Tattva is because of Krishna, right? And from the Mahat Tattva, the Prakriti comes, the Trigunas come, everything comes, right? The living entities come, everything comes. So Krishna is the cause of all causes, means everything begins from him. So everything in the world changes. Like it's like the buildings fall, the people grow old, everything may go out. But who remains? The Supreme remains. The Supreme Lord is the one who remains forever. Right? Because everything in the world is temporary. including us, because we have this material body, we also have to go. The Prakriti is also temporary. Temporary in the sense, it becomes manifest and unmanifest. So, well, everything goes, the buildings fall, people, they grow old, everybody goes, but there's only one person who remains. It's the Supreme. Before the creation, he is there. After creation also, he is there. Okay, so now we should understand that, see, Arjuna is now no longer confused. He now understands the Lord is above everyone. He is above all the demigods, above creation itself. That creation means Prakriti itself. So he says, of course, everyone should bow down to you, because now he understood. He's not confused. He knows that he understood Krishna's superior position. Above everybody, he is the highest. So that's why he's saying, of course, everybody should bow down to you. So now Arjuna is not saying this out of fear, but out of understanding. So he knows that how great the Lord is. Out of that understanding, he is. See, when we understand the greatness of a person, we respect them naturally. We don't have to, I mean, like, beg somebody to respect. I mean, like, we request them for respect. But when we understand how great that person is, automatically we respect them, right? So that is what is happening here. So that is why Arjuna is showing respect to Krishna. I mean, like, this change from friendship to awe and reverence now. Okay, because he understood the greatness of Krishna. So he understood that Krishna is not only his friend, but he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. 38. You are the original personality, the Godhead. You are the only sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You know everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are above the material modes, or limitless form. This whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. And okay. Okay, so now Arjuna, he continues praising the Lord. Now he says, you are the original supreme person. You are the oldest. You are the ultimate shelter of this universe. You know everything, and you are everything worth knowing. You are the supreme refuge. He says, oh, unlimited form, you are present everywhere. Okay, so he's further praising by using all these terms. Okay, here oldest is used. Okay, so it does not mean like he's old like a grandfather. Okay, so here it means that when we refer to Krishna as the oldest, it means he existed before anything else, even before the earth, before the stars, before time, right? Everything, see, everything in this material world has a starting point and an end point, but Krishna doesn't have. Right, so he existed before creation, and after creation also he will exist, and we are saying he is pervading the universe. Okay, so Arjuna says the whole universe is filled by him. 1 second. Okay. Okay. So Arjuna says you are pervading the entire universe. See, Arjuna says that the whole universe is filled by him. See, it's like this. See, for example, like air. See, you cannot see it, but air is everywhere, right? So in the same way, the Lord's presence and energy is everywhere. So nothing exists outside his power. So now the main thing is what we have to understand is Arjuna, actually he began in this chapter, he was confused and overwhelmed when he saw the universal form. So now he's speaking with without confusion. He speaks with clarity. Okay, he sees the Lord is now not just a charioteer or his cousin or a friend or just as some great personality, but now he sees Krishna as the source, shelter, and the goal of everything. Okay, so that is why now Arjuna respects Krishna, gives respect and devotion. So it has changed from friendship. He has that same love is there, but now it has changed from friendship to deep respect and devotion. Okay, so let's go to 39. You are air and you are the supreme controller. You are fire, you are water, you are the moon, you are Brahma, the first living creature, and you are the great grandfather. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you 1,000 times and again and yet again. Okay, so now Arjuna he's speaking now. He's saying, you are the air, you are fire, you are water, you are the moon, you are Prajapati. Okay, so he's saying all this. You are even the great grandfather. I bow down to you again and again, 1,000 times. So, what does this mean? Arjuna is not saying God is only one small thing. Okay, he's saying all powerful forces in nature come from him. Like air moves because of him, fire burns because of him, water flows because of him, the moon shines because of him. So all these powers depend on the supreme. So why is he mentioning about Prajapati and great grandfather? See, Prajapati means he refers to someone who creates. Prajapati means what? He's the pati of Praja. He's the one who creates Praja. Okay, so who is the Prajapati? In one sense, it is like Brahma, someone who creates Praja. It is Brahma. So Arjuna says, even Brahma comes from you. So you are even higher. See, because he is the creator of Brahma too, right? So you are even higher. So he's praising Krishna. You are even higher than Brahma. So if Brahma is like a grandfather for the creation, then the Lord is the great grandfather. He is Prapitamaha. If Brahma is Pitamaha, Krishna is Prapitamaha. He is the great grandfather. Okay, but why in this translation we see, right? Arjuna is saying he is offering obeisances 1,000 times again and again. Why again and again? Again and again means why? Because see, when someone truly understands the greatness, one bows down, just bowing down once is not enough. Arjuna keeps saying, my respects again and my respects again and again and again, he's saying. Okay, so it is not out of fear now. Now it is out of devotion that he is offering all these obeisances. Now he understands. He comes out of that confusion. He understands that Krishna is the cause of all causes. He is the supreme personality of Godhead. And now his fear is gone. But now, out of devotion, he is offering his respectful obeisances again and again. Okay, so Arjuna understood that every power in nature, every demigod, every force, all come from the same Supreme Lord. So that is why he is offering repeated gratitude and respect. Okay, so let's see shloka number 40. Obeisances to you from the front, from behind, and from all sides, O unbounded power. You are the master of limitless might. You are all pervading, and thus you are everything. See, in the PPT, you can see how the universal form Krishna is showing everything in one place, right? He is showing Brahma, Shiva, demigods, and everything in one body. He's trying to show. Practically it is not possible, but since it is Krishna, because of his inconceivable energy, he can show or do anything. Just by, Arjuna is sitting on the chariot and he's able to see everything that is present in the universe. The whole of the universe, what all are present, he is able to see by just sitting in one go. Okay, so now here Arjuna says, I bow to you from the front, from behind, from all sides. So why all directions he is bowing, Arjuna? Because in every direction he turns, he is able to see the universal form only. That is it, because it's so limitless. Whichever direction he is trying to pray, he is seeing the universal form. It is limitless. He is saying, if I see from behind, it is there, from up, down, side, wherever I see, in all directions, I see you. So that's why I offer my obeisances from all directions, Arjuna is telling. Okay, so what does unlimited power, unlimited force mean? So on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, see here they are saying, right, you are the master of the limitless might. Okay, see, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, they are very strong, powerful warriors. But what Arjuna understands now, their strength is like a spark. Krishna is like the blazing fire. And the warriors that Arjuna was thinking, the mighty warriors, they are like sparks. They are like nothing compared to Krishna. So Krishna is like the blazing fire, and those warriors are just like fire sparks, he's trying to tell. Okay. And in the sloka also we understood, right, how Arjuna, he spoke to Krishna earlier as a friend, cousin, charioteer. Now he sees Krishna as the source of all demigods. He is the origin of creation, the all-pervading supreme. So now his tone of speaking, changes from friendship to respect. See, he's still in love with Lord, love with Krishna, but earlier it was in friendship. Now out of respect, but not out of fear. Okay, he still loves Krishna, but now instead of friendship, out of respect. Okay, so now let's go to 41 and 42. Okay, I have now Krishna, Arjuna is telling Krishna, I have in the past addressed you as O Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend, without knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times while relaxing or while lying on the same bed or eating together, sometimes alone or sometimes in front of many friends. Please excuse me for all my offenses. Now, Arjuna sees that his friend Krishna is just not a normal person. So he sees this huge universal form full of unlimited power and greatness. So it is like suddenly finding out, like how, for an example, see, it is like finding out suddenly that your close friend, he has become an IAS officer. How do you react? Right? So what Arjuna says is, he says, oh no, Krishna, I didn't know you were so great. So I called you, hey Krishna, hey Yadava, I joked with you, I relaxed with you, I ate with you, I slept with you, I laughed with you. Okay, sometimes I may not have shown you enough respect. Right? So please forgive me for all those times. See, because earlier, when Krishna and Arjuna were cousins, they were of the same age, right? So friends of the same age, they behave like friends, right? So in that closeness, they used to jokingly, like call nicknames or whatever, right? And they ate together, they played together, they joked, laughed, slept on the same bed, ate together. So they did all these. Sometimes they must have criticized jokingly or something. So for all that, remembering, now he's saying, I must have committed some mistake. So please forgive me for all those mistakes. He's saying, right? After seeing the universal form. But why is he saying all this? Why is Arjuna saying this? See, that's what we discussed, right? Before this, Arjuna treated Krishna like a close friend. They laughed together, they talked casually, they sat and ate together. But now, Arjuna, he realizes that Krishna is just not his friend. He is the Supreme Lord, powerful beyond imagination. So Arjuna feels a little embarrassed, and that's why, in humility, he is begging for forgiveness. But what is the sweetest part is that even though Krishna is the Supreme Lord, he wants to remain as Arjuna's friend. Okay, so he still wants to remain. Even after seeing the universal form, Arjuna changed from friendship to respect, right? Respect, but still, Krishna, he still wants to maintain that friendship with Arjuna. He still wants to remain as Arjuna's friend himself. Okay, he does not want to become the supreme personality of Godhead and all that. Okay, he does not want Arjuna to offer obeisances and do all those things. See, Krishna, he is always interested in having a relationship with his devotee rather than like be. He doesn't see Krishna. He doesn't like the what is the Veda mantras. He what does he like? He say the gopis call. I mean like scold him, right? Say, oh black Krishna, you're a cheater. You steal butter. When the gopis scold him like that, those mantras Krishna likes them very much. He's very fond of them. When the gopis scold him, also it's as if it's mantras to him. He likes those kind of mantras, but he doesn't like the Veda mantras when the Brahmanas do in the yajna. They say Om and all those, that he doesn't like. That's why he likes when he's in a relationship, he likes, even if you scold him also when you're in a relationship, he's ready to take that. That is like mantra for him. So that is the reason. That is why even when Krishna, when Arjuna is trying to accept him out of respect, but still Krishna wants to take Arjuna still as a friend. Okay. Okay, let's go to the next sloka. 41 to where is 43? Hmm, 43. पितासि लोकस्य चराचरस्य त्वम् अस्य पूज्यश्च गुरुर्गरीयान् न त्वत्समोऽस्ति अभ्यधिकः कुतोऽन्यो लोकत्रयेऽपि अप्रतिमा प्रभावः. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You are the father of this complete cosmic manifestation of the moving and the non-moving. You are its worshipable chief, the supreme spiritual master. No one is greater than you, nor can anyone be with you. How then could there be anyone greater than you within the three worlds, O Lord of the immeasurable power? So he's still continuing his praising of Krishna after seeing the universal form. Okay, so he's saying, you're the father of everything, all living beings and even non-living things. You are father of everything, living beings and non-living things. You are the greatest teacher, and no one is equal to you. No one is greater than you. Okay, so what does this mean now? Krishna is the father means what? Father in the sense because everything comes from him. He's the seed giving father, right? So everything comes from him. He's the teacher means what? Because true wisdom begins from Krishna, right? He's the person who gives us the true knowledge that we are the soul and not the body, right? So he's the the ultimate guru, right? And he's the greatest because nothing exists beyond him, right? So why is Arjuna saying all this now? Because earlier He saw Krishna as his dear friend. So why is he doing all this praise? Okay, before he saw Krishna as his dear friend. Now he understands his friend is also the supreme lord of everything. Okay, so the example I told you, right? It is like realizing your best friend is also an IAS officer. So now Arjuna, he feels deep respect. It is not fear anymore, right? But just awe and respect. And his love growing bigger. So his respect is becoming more and more deep. Okay, so what does this verse teach us? See, there may be many powerful beings, many teachers, many leaders, but the source of all power, knowledge, and life comes from one supreme person, that is Krishna. So, if we see anything abnormal or beautiful in this world, we should understand in the opulences we have learned, right? If we see anything beautiful or extraordinary, we should think it is a spark from Krishna. If that person, you should think that if that person itself is so beautiful, how beautiful will Krishna be? Right? Just imagine the source from where it is coming. How will the source be? So we should just imagine, like we should try to connect everything to Krishna. Oh, the rose flower in this world, material world, is so beautiful. Then how beautiful will the person who created this rose be? That is Krishna. How beautiful will he be? So we should try to connect everything to the source. Okay. So 44. Tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam prasadaye tvam aham isham irityam piteva putrasya sakeva sakyuhu priyah priyayarhasi deva sodhum. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You are the Supreme Lord, to be worshipped by every living being. Thus, I fall down to offer you my respectful obeisances and ask your mercy. As a father tolerates the impudence of his son, a friend the impertinence of a friend, or a husband the familiarity of his wife, please tolerate the wrongs I may have done to you. So now Arjuna is asking forgiveness, right? So after seeing the amazing universal form of Krishna, Arjuna, he becomes very humble. He says, you are the Supreme Lord. I bow down before you. Please be kind to me. See, just like a father forgives his son, a friend forgives a friend, or a loved one forgives someone dear, like that, you also forgive me. So what is happening here? See, Arjuna is not just standing politely. Now he's bowing down completely. Okay, he feels deep respect and love at the same time. See, he realizes I may have joked with Krishna earlier, so I may have treated him like an ordinary friend. So that's why he's asking Krishna to forgive him. But Arjuna, he does not say, please forgive me out of fear. Instead, what is he saying? Please forgive me the way someone who loves me, would. See, if somebody, if you love somebody and if they do a mistake, we forgive, right? So Arjuna is asking Krishna to forgive him like that, but not out of fear. He is not asking him to forgive. Okay, just as a loved one forgives another, like that you forgive me. Okay, so that means the relationship is still out of friendship, out of closeness and affection. Like how a loved one forgives when he performs a mistake. So, like that, the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna is still full of closeness and affection. Okay, so what does this verse show us? That see, God is great and powerful, but at the same time, He is also loving and forgiving. See, just like a father understands his child, and a friend understands a friend, and as someone who truly loves you, they will overlook your small mistakes. So Arjuna knows that even though Krishna is the Lord of everything, He knows that Krishna is merciful. He's very kind. Okay, so he will forgive him. Okay, so it is not about fear now. It is about love. So he's no longer out of fear. He is not asking him to forgive. Out of love now. Okay, he's asking Krishna how a loved one, when you love somebody and if they do some mistakes, we forgive, right? So like that, Arjuna is asking Krishna to forgive him, but not out of fear. Okay. So 45. Adrishtapurvam rishito asmi drishtva bhayena cha pravyatitam mano me tad eva me darshya deva rupam prasida devesha jagannivasa. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened, but at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead, O Lord of the Lords, O abode of the universe. See, now Arjuna, he saw the universal form of Krishna. Like it is something that no one has ever seen before. So he's saying that I'm happy to see this amazing universal form, but my mind is at the same time also shaking with fear seeing the universal form. Okay, I'm kind of fearful also. That's why please show me again your gentle, I mean, he's asking him to show him his normal two-handed form of Krishna. Okay, he's requesting Krishna to show his original two-handed form. Okay, so here see, Arjuna requests to see the four-handed form indicates that all the forms are one with Krishna. Different Narayanas are named according to the different configuration of the four hands. So we know, right, in the Vaikuntha planet, there are various kinds of Narayanas. Like in one hand they will hold conch, in one hand they will hold wheel, they will hold Padma, four hands, and again those will be interchanged. So like that, when they are interchanged, you have many kinds of Narayanas. Different kinds of Vishnus you have, depending on the configuration of the four hands. Indicates Arjuna is afraid and joyful at the same time. Okay. Did we do the 45th shloka? I don't think so. We are supposed to discuss this, right? Okay. See. Okay. So, why is Arjuna both happy and afraid seeing the universal form? Can anybody tell? Now, why is like Arjuna, he's both happy and afraid. Okay, so he's happy, he's joyful because my friend is the Supreme Lord. That is why he is happy. Okay, he's joyful because my friend is the Supreme Lord. But he's also afraid or he's feeling uneasy because this universal form is too vast, it is too big. It is like it is limitless. Okay, so it is like staring at the entire universe at one go. Right? Everything that is there, that is spread throughout the universe, he's seeing it at one go. So that is why he's afraid. So that's why he's both happy and he is afraid. What does Arjuna want to know now? He wants to see Krishna again in a more personal form. See, after he saw the universal form, he became a little bit fearful and he said like, Krishna, now you withdraw your universal form, you come back to your normal form. He's asking. Okay. So here, see, God can show unlimited power, but generally the devotees, here, especially Arjuna, he's longing for that personal connection. He's saying that I know you are the Lord of everything, but please come back to the form I love. Right? Because Arjuna has a personal relationship with the two-handed form of Krishna. So that's why he's saying he wants to have that personal loving relationship with Krishna. So that's why he's saying, now I don't want your universal form. I know your universal form means it's the powerful form. I can understand you're powerful, but I don't want that form of yours. Please withdraw that form and come back to your normal two-handed Krishna form. Okay, so that I can have that loving relationship with you. Okay.
Mataji,
Yes, Prabhuji.
Mataji, Arjun was joyful because his friend was the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes. Because earlier we told you, right? Though Arjuna was his devotee, he did not know that Krishna. I mean, like he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead until he saw the universal form. Because see, nobody can understand Krishna. See, even Arjuna, he was the closest friend and devotee of Krishna. Even Arjuna didn't know about Krishna's universal form until he saw it. Right? So it is like the grace or the mercy of Krishna. To understand Krishna, we need the grace of Krishna. Otherwise, we cannot understand Krishna. So that is why now here Arjuna, he feels joyful because he understands that Krishna is the, he's very powerful when he saw the universal form. So that is why he understands, oh, that same Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is why he is happy. And at the same time, he's afraid because he saw that universal form, which is limitless. It is beyond, description. So that is why he was afraid. So he was both joyful and he was afraid at the same time. Okay, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, let's go to the next shloka. See, here you can see he is joyful because, I'll show you. See, indicates Arjuna is afraid and joyful simultaneously. Joyful because he is gladdened by knowing his friend's opulence as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his ability to show the universal form. Okay, afraid because of so many offenses committed. So he's afraid in one sense because earlier he had committed thought Krishna was his friend, and he says that, hey Krishna, hey Yadava, they ate in the same plate, they joked, they laughed, right? So he's afraid because he may have committed many offenses, right? That is why he's afraid. So happy because he knows that Krishna, who is his friend, is the universal form. He is the powerful form. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And afraid because he committed so many offenses before he came to know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. So universal form is a temporary form, but Vaikuntha form is transcendental, four-handed. So here they're saying, see, the universal form is temporary. It is only limited to the material world. But the Vaikuntha form, the four-handed form or the two-handed form of Krishna, that is eternal. Okay, not like the universal form. Universal form is temporary only for that material world. So Krishna can assume any form as he is asked here to show his Narayana form. So Krishna, because he's God, he can take any form. So he can, from the universal form, he can come back to the four-handed Vishnu form, and from the four-handed, he can come back to the two-handed Krishna form. 46. Kiritinam gadinam chakrahastam ichchami tvam drashtumaham tataiva tenaiva rupena chaturbhujena sahasrabaho bhava vishwamurte. O universal form, O thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head and with club, wheel, conch, lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form. Okay, so now Arjuna is asking to see the four-hand form of Narayana with conch, chakra, club, lotus flower, and all those four things in the hands of Narayana. Okay, so actually now what do we understand? The Supreme Lord can appear in unlimited forms. Okay, so whatever form he appears, it is Krishna himself. Okay, see now if you are seeing through the universal form, it shows power. The four-handed form shows majesty, right? The four-handed form of Narayana, it shows majesty, and the two-armed form shows intimacy, right? So Arjuna chose the two-handed form of Krishna. So he not only is seeing Krishna as God, I mean, he understands now God is great, but also having a loving relationship with Krishna. So he understands God is great, but at the same time, he also wants to have a loving relationship with Krishna. Okay, so let's go to 47. So that's why he's saying, now I want to see you in your four-handed form of Narayana. So please come back to that form where you are holding the club, wheel, conch, and lotus flower. I want to see that form. Okay, 47. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Prasannena Tavajunedam Rupam Param Darshitam Atma Yogat Tejo Mayam Vishwam Anantamadhyam Yanme Tvad Anyena Nadrishta Purvam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, happily have I shown you by my internal potency the supreme universal form within the material world. No one before you has ever seen this primal form, unlimited and full of glaring effulgence. Okay, now Krishna tells Arjuna, because I'm pleased with you, I have shown you this universal form by my own divine power. See, no one before has ever seen it. So the universal form was just displayed because Arjuna asked it. And just to show it to Arjuna, it was displayed. Okay, so that is why it exists, it is temporary, and only as long as the material world exists, it exists. Okay, it is not situated in the eternal, I mean, like in the spiritual planets like Narayana or Narsimadev or Rama. So it is not placed in the spiritual planet. It is there only in the material world. Okay. So here Krishna, he explains three important things. He showed the form willingly. He showed it because, why did he show the universal form to Arjuna? First point, he showed because he was pleased with Arjuna. That is one reason, not out of force or something, not because someone demanded or something like that. It is just because he was pleased with Arjuna. That is why he showed the universal form. And how was it revealed to him? By his internal divine power. Okay, so it is it was not achieved by some personal effort or meditation or intelligence. It was a gift to Arjuna by Krishna. Okay, so by grace, in a way, we can understand. It is not like because Arjuna is put some effort or he did meditation or he's intelligent, nothing like that. So it was just a gift to Arjuna. Okay, and what does Krishna say? No one had seen this exact form before. Means what? No one was able to receive something so unique as seeing the universal form till now. So Arjuna received something exceptional. Okay, so actually, what do we understand through these words? Spiritual realization is not just about effort, it is also about grace. So don't think like if I just do chanting, reading, everything, okay, I will go back to Goloka with my effort. Don't think like that. See, two things are needed. Your effort is needed, and the grace of Krishna is also needed. Okay, so it is both things. Okay, so Krishna revealed himself to Arjuna because of love and that relationship. Okay, 48. Naveda yagna yaner na daner na cha kriyabhir na tapobhir ugraihi evam rupah shakya aham riloke drashtum tvad anyena kuru pravira. O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine. For neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charities or similar activities can this form be seen. Only you have seen this. Now, Krishna says to Arjuna, see, no one can see the universal form by studying the Vedas or by performing sacrifices, by giving charity, by doing rituals, or even by severe penances. Only you have seen it. So Krishna is saying, you cannot get this vision, you cannot get the vision of the universal form through book knowledge or by performing religious ceremonies or by charity or strict austerity. See, all these, what we've discussed, all these may be good and helpful, but they are not enough by themselves. Okay, they are not the cause. They may be good, they may be supportive, they may be helpful. Okay, but by these itself, the universal form is not revealed. Okay, how is it revealed? Why is it revealed to Arjuna? It is revealed because of his devotion. So that is the main thing. It is not because of your extreme knowledge or your intelligence or your charity or your austerity that Krishna showed will show the universal form, showed the universal form to Arjuna. No, the only qualification required is devotion. Arjuna had that. That is why Krishna showed him the universal form. So devotion is very important. Not any other thing. Not your knowledge, your intelligence, your doing charity or your austerities, your fasting or whatever is not at all important. Only devotion is very important. And why is this devotion important? Generally, many people think spiritual realization is only about effort. They think if I put the effort, see, many people think I'm chanting 16 rounds or I'm chanting 20 rounds, I'm reading, I'm chanting, I'm doing all this. Why is Krishna still giving me troubles? Okay, they think that I'm putting effort spiritually for Krishna. So Krishna, we think that we do business. Because I'm doing this, Krishna should remove my problems. Okay, so we think that if we put the effort, everything will go off. So generally, see, people, they think spiritual realization is only about effort. No. So Krishna clarifies, okay, effort matters. You should do your sadhana, definitely. But devotion along with divine grace is essential. That mercy of Krishna is also important. Okay, don't think that if you just put your effort, you will get everything. No. The mercy of Krishna, that grace of Krishna is also essential. Okay. See, Arjuna, he was chosen not because he was the strongest warrior. He was chosen by Krishna because he was a sincere devotee and a friend. Okay. Not because of his external qualification. He was a strong warrior. That is why Krishna chose Arjuna. No. No, because he was a sincere devotee and a friend. That is why he chose Arjuna and he showed him the universal form. Okay, so this verse, through this verse we understand God cannot be fully known by external effort alone. Okay, he reveals himself where there is genuine devotion. Genuine means sincere devotion. He reveals himself. Okay, nothing external, I mean, like that should also be there, but because of devotion, not because of knowledge, intelligence, charity. We said, right, all those things are external. But the main thing is devotion. Okay. 49. Ma te vyatha ma cha vimodha bhavo Drishtva rupam ghoram idrin mamedam. Vyapeta prita manah punastvam. Tad eva me rupam idam prapasya. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let this be finished. My devotee, be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire. Okay, so now Arjuna, he became scared after seeing the powerful universal form. So now Krishna, he tells him, see, it's okay. Now don't be worried, don't be troubled. So then Krishna, he returns to his normal two-handed form so that Arjuna can be peaceful. Okay. So the universal form shows the universal form shows God's great power. But Arjuna loves Krishna as his friend. He does not want only power. So the universal form shows only power. But Arjuna, he wants to have a loving relationship. Okay, so the universal form shows the greatness, the power of Krishna, but the personal two-handed form of Krishna, it shows intimacy, it shows loving relationship, it shows closeness, right? So that's why Arjuna is asking Krishna to come back to his normal form. Okay? 50. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, while speaking thus to Arjuna, displayed his four-armed form at last and showed his two-armed form. So you can see in the PPT, right, how from Vishnu, from the universal form, he changes to four-handed Vishnu form. And then you can see he comes to the two-handed Krishna form. In the PPT, you can see that. Okay, so Sanjay is telling King Dhritarashtra what happened on the battlefield. So after showing the huge and frightening universal form, Krishna saw that Arjuna was afraid. So he first showed his four-armed form of Narayana and then he returned to his normal two-armed form, the sweet, beautiful Krishna that Arjuna knew as his friend. And when he did that, Arjuna, he became calm again. Okay, so the universal form, it shows power. The four-armed form, right, the Narayana form or Vishnu form, it shows majesty. And the two-hand form of Krishna, it shows love and relationship, closeness it shows. Okay, so this verse tells us that God is not only powerful, he is also kind and caring towards his devotee. So when Arjuna, he was afraid seeing the universal form, Krishna did not stay to frighten him, right? He became gentle again. So when Arjuna requested him to show his normal form, like he came back to his normal form, first to the through the four-handed form and then to the two-handed form. Okay. Okay, 51. Arjuna uvacha drishtvedam manusham rupam tava saumyam janardana idanim asmi samvrittaha sachetaha prakritim gataha. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, O Janardana, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind and I am restored to my original nature. So Arjuna says that now I see your two-handed form of Krishna again. So I feel calm, my mind is steady, I feel normal again. So before this, Arjuna, he saw the huge universal form. It was powerful and frightening. So he felt shaken and overwhelmed. But now he sees Krishna's two-armed form, the beautiful, friendly form he knew earlier. Now his fear went away, his mind becomes peaceful again. So in the shloka, in the translation, we see they use this word human-like form. See, when we say Krishna returned back to his human-like form, it does not mean to say that Krishna is an ordinary human. Okay, in the purport, it explains that if he were just an ordinary person, how could he show the universal form? how could he show the four-handed form and then return to the two-handed form? So he is not an ordinary human being. Okay, so we understand. So what do we understand? Krishna looks human, but he is divine. Okay, his gentle, his actual two-armed form is actually his original and most beautiful form. That is the Paripurna Avatara. That is the complete form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is his original transcendental form, that two-handed form of Krishna. That is the original form of the Lord, Supreme Personality of the Godhead. Okay? So, the giant universal form shows power and greatness. The two-armed form shows, closeness. Okay, so Arjuna wanted to have that closeness with Krishna. So that's why he wanted Krishna to come back from that universal form to the two-handed form of Krishna so that he could reciprocate with love. Like he could have that same relationship with Krishna earlier how he had. Okay, 52. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sudurdarsham idam rupam drishtavan asiyan mama deva api asya rupasya nityam darshana kangshinaham. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, this form of mine you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear. So he tells Arjuna, see, the form you are seeing now is very difficult to see. Even the demigods always wish to see this form. So Krishna is saying, not everybody can see my real form. Okay, even demigod, powerful heavenly beings, the demigods, they want to see it. But you are so fortunate, you are able to see it. So what form is Krishna talking about here? Can anybody guess? That even the demigods want to see and everybody wants to see. What is the form that he's talking about?
Mataji, the universal form.
No, wrong, Prabhuji. No, not
Uh,
about that.
uh,
See, the demigods were able to see that form in the universal form. We discussed, right? The demons could see, the demigods could see, the people from other planets could see. We discussed, so they could see it. That is that they can I mean like see. But what is it that Krishna is discussing here? Not everybody can see my real form that Arjuna is able to see.
Mataji, the two-handed form of Lord Krishna.
Exactly. Perfect, Prabhuji. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So that is the form that Krishna is talking about. Not everybody. See, even the demigods till now, even Brahma, he's not able to see that two-handed form. Sometimes, when the demigods, they have problems, they come to Brahma, and Brahma, he goes to the, what is that, Shirodaka ocean, where he prays, but he is not able to see the Lord. Sometimes he hears through the Akashavani, he hears a voice and he gets the solution. Sometimes he meditates and he gets the answers. So, but they are not able to see the direct two-handed form of the demigods or anybody. They're not able to see the two-handed form, like how Arjuna is able to see. The Pandavas are able to see the two-handed form of Krishna. Okay, so that's why Krishna is saying you are very fortunate. Even demigods, they want to see me in my two-handed form. They are not able to see, but you are very fortunate. Okay, so now Krishna is saying that not the universal form or not the four-armed form of Vishnu or Narayana. He is talking about the beautiful two-armed form of Krishna. So many people, they think that the universal form is the greatest. But here Krishna says his simple two-armed form is even more rare. Okay, so why is it hard to see the form of Krishna? Because it is not seen just by studying books or by doing some rituals or just because you're intelligent, because it is seen with devotion. That is why it is difficult. See, we can see Krishna only by devotion, by performing pure devotional service. Can we see Krishna? Not by our intelligence, or not by reading books or performing charity or rituals, nothing, austerity. No, we can't see Krishna like that. Only by performing devotion can we see Krishna. So God is not understood by brain power. He is only known through love and surrender. Okay. So 54. नाहं वैदेर्न तपसा न दानेन चेज्यया शक्य एवं विदो द्रष्टुं दृष्टवान् असि मां यथा. Krishna can be understood only through the path. See, the form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing severe penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. So Krishna is saying to Arjuna, you cannot see me as I am just by studying the Vedas, doing penance, giving charity, or performing rituals. So Krishna is saying, by reading many holy books or doing difficult fasting or giving lots of charity, performing religious ceremonies is not enough. Okay, these are good things that you are doing, okay, fine. But through these only, we cannot understand Krishna fully. Then how can we understand? How did Arjuna see him? Because Arjuna had that devotion. Okay, it's not just knowledge, but love and surrender. That is important. To see Krishna, we need devotion, we need love and surrender, not by knowledge, intelligence, reading many books, austerity, charity, okay, or by performing rituals, not all these, but by devotion, love, and surrender. So, Krishna is saying that he is not understood by effort alone, he is understood through devotion. Okay, so 54. Bhaktya tu ananya sashakya aham evam vido arjuna Gnatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Okay? So Krishna is telling Arjuna, only by pure devotional service can you truly know me. You see, can you see me? Can you come close to me? So only by devotion means what? See, not by showing off knowledge, not by doing things just to look religious, not by mixing devotion with selfish wishes, but by loving Krishna only sincerely. Only by devotion means pure devotion. You have no other intention. Okay, you don't want to show off your knowledge, or you don't want to show off your religious practices. You don't want to mix your what do you say, your devotion with some selfish desire. Only thing is, you just want to love Krishna just for the sake of loving Krishna. That's all, with no other intention. Okay, so only by devotion means that. So you can know me. So knowing Krishna does not mean like how to say. See, like it means like you understand. Knowing Krishna means understanding his heart, trusting him, feeling close to him. See, just like you know your best friend, not from books, but from the time you spend together, right? That's how you know your friend, not by reading books or something, but by the time you spend together with your friend. So like that. So Krishna is saying you can know me, right? By understanding his heart, by trusting him, by being close to him, like by following his teachings, by doing devotion, all those things. Okay. So you can see me means what? See me means what? It does not literally mean seeing Krishna with eyes. See, it means seeing Krishna's presence, feeling that he is real and he's caring for us. He's giving us some recognition in our life, right? We feel Krishna's presence, right? Even though we are not able to see him, through our activities, when we are in problems, or like when we are looking for a solution, we feel that Krishna is there beside us. He's helping us. Okay, just feel the presence of Krishna. That is what seeing Krishna means, not literally seeing with our physical eyes. Okay, and you can enter into my mystery. Okay, you can enter into my mystery means, this means you can start to understand why Krishna does what he does, right? Why he appears like human, why he is both powerful and he's sweet at the same time. Only someone close is told family secrets. See, it is a Krishna is a mystery because only like the secret, the mystery is open only to close family members. See, when you have a secret, you share it only with someone close to you, not to everybody, right? So here the same thing. So you who can understand about Krishna is one who has that devotion. So you can enter his mystery only. I mean, like, mystery means you can know the secret. How? Because when you become someone close to him. Okay, like that. So then only, like, you become a close family member, then only you can understand why Krishna does what he does, everything, why he appears as human. So all those things are personally understood by devotees because they're very close to Krishna. Why he comes as a human being, why he does that, why he does this. Okay, why he is showing the universal form, why he is powerful, and how he is sweet in the form of Krishna. So all those secrets are understood by devotees only, but not by non-devotees. Okay, they can enter into my mystery. That's why Krishna is saying. Yes, Prabhuji, have a doubt?
Mataji, so how can we summarize this enter into my mystery in simpler terms?
It just means, Prabhuji, to understand Krishna, you need to be a devotee. Okay, so being a devotee means what? You are being close to Krishna, and generally secrets are revealed. I mean, the mystery is open to whom who are like very close. See, when you want to discuss something close, I mean, like when you want to reveal some secret, you tell it to someone close, like whom you can rely on. Like that, Krishna, he can be understood only by his devotees. That mystery can be known only to his devotees who are very close to him. Okay, like why Krishna comes in this human form, because the non-devotees, they think Krishna is human. Seeing his two-handed form, they think he's like normal. He's a king, or he's a cowherd boy, or he is like Pandava's friend, cousin. Like that, they think him like a normal human being. Non-devotees think, but devotees know. See, even when in Dwapar Yuga, when Krishna came in his two-handed form, very few were able to recognize Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like Kunti Maharani, Bhishma, Dronacharya, and the Pandavas. See, remaining all, though they could see Krishna, they could not recognize him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because the Pandavas, Kunti Maharani, and the Bhishmacharya, they all were devotees, they could understand that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So remaining people, they were non-devotees. That's why they could not understand Krishna. So here, in this, I mean, like in my mystery means what? The secrets can be understood only by devotees. It means to say the mystery is opened only to devotees. They can understand because they are very close to Krishna. Okay, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, so let's see the last shloka for today. Okay. Mat karma krin mat paramo mad bhaktah sangavarjitah nirvairah sarva bhuteshu yasamam eti pandava. My dear Arjuna, one who is engaged in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of previous activities and from whom mental speculation, who is friendly to every living entity, certainly comes to me. So now this is the final summary of the whole chapter. So Krishna is giving the clear formula. What is he saying? A person who works for me, makes me the highest goal, is my devotee, is not selfish, he is kind to everybody, that person comes to me. So first he's saying what? Who works for me? So works for me means what? This does not mean you leave everything, like not renouncing everything. It means, see, whatever you do, like for instance, you're studying, you study. You're doing job, do your job. You're doing like if you're a housewife, you do your job. So do it with the thought of pleasing Krishna, right? See, you're cooking at home, so cook to please Krishna. So after cooking, you offer it to Krishna, and then you have it as prasadam. Okay, you are doing the job, so do the job for Krishna. So how much ever that income that you get, you offer part of it to Krishna. You are studying, so study for Krishna, so that if you study now, maybe later you may get a good job. So with that you can help in Krishna conscious activities. So whatever you do, work for pleasing Krishna. And second, make me the highest goal. Krishna says, see, some people want money, fame, power, but a devotee wants what? He wants to grow closer to Krishna. So that is his main direction of life. He wants to move closer to Krishna. That is his highest goal, not to make money, fame, or power. For a devotee, it is like he wants to get closer to Krishna. And Krishna says, is my devotee. This means who loves Krishna, remembers him. So when he says, Krishna says, my devotee, means what? One who he loves Krishna, he remembers Krishna, trusts Krishna, he wants to serve Krishna. So not just knowing about Krishna, but caring about him. That is mean. What does that mean? Doing devotional service to Krishna, not just knowing Krishna. Many people say, I talk to Krishna, I understand Krishna, Krishna is there in my heart. It's not that. That is not the thing. See, when you love somebody, you want to show it through service, right? See, if there is a child, and if the mother says, oh my child, I love you so much, but when the child comes to the mother and says, mom, I'm hungry, please give me something to eat, and if the mother still says, oh, I love you so much, my son or my daughter, and she does not give any food, is that love? No, right? When you show some service, like you now the child is hungry, so you provide him with the food. That is you're showing love. So in the same way, when you do devotional service, you're showing a love to Krishna, not by just knowing about Krishna. That is not enough. But when you love Krishna through devotional service, that is really caring about Krishna. Okay, and next four is free from selfish attachments. So means what? You do your duty to your 100% and you leave the result to Krishna. Don't try to take anything, get attached to the result. So just give the result to Krishna. Do it to please Krishna. And fifth is like kind to all living beings. A true devotee, he has no enemies. Because why? Because they see every living being as connected to God. So they do not try to harm anybody. They always try to help others. Okay, so this is the summon. So love God, work sincerely, be kind, don't be selfish, and finally you will reach Krishna. Okay, so this is the end of the 11th chapter.